Okay, next up will be Stephen Black. He studied in the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics. He was for many years a poetry editor at Processed World, the magazine with a bad attitude, where I was also worked on the collective, and an early member of the San Francisco Anti-Economy League and the Cacophony Society. In the early years of desktop publishing, he issued a number of poetry chapbooks via his Atlantis Express imprint, including Plate/Tectonic/City, Old Oil Black Humor, Mission Control, Police Statement, and Songs for a Lonely Commuter. He also wrote, as I have too, a libretto for the composer Daniel Stephen Crafts. So we also have that being in common, being librettists. Now there's a word for you, librettist. Locally speaking, he spent formative years in parts of Manitoba and Toronto. Latterly, he joined a Spadina street gang called the Derelicts in the early 1970s to celebrate the defeat of the proposed Spadina Expressway. And he's been a librarian for 40 years in Berkeley. Stephen Black.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Martin and Louise, for having me here. It's good to be back. This is my hometown. I was born less than 3 kilometers away at Toronto General Hospital. Yeah, I last lived here like 41 years ago, but I come as often as I can. I was chased out of town 2.5 years ago when the lockdown happened at the beginning of the pandemic. I happened to be visiting at that time, and I had to leave to get home. But I have home here too, so I was torn. And now I'm back. It's good to be back. And so, without further ado, I will change my eyes and asking for a friend. How bad is it really? You fret, it can only get worse. Supposing capitalism equals death. Love times lives lived well, divided by the high cost of living. Paying your do's and don'ts. Well, what the fuck? Just asking for a friend. What if the light at the end of the funnel, your brain minus oxygen, or the red sky of morning, the blue of noon, purple twilight, predicting another humorless hemorrhage? Pointless laughter at end to the nth iteration of Groundhog Day's gut punch, between the cup of reason and lips of excess, hails merry men of the forest. A very contrary, inabstinent, which is to say decadent, fulminating foam mentor of an emission, position on the floor, up from his Toryism, down by Law and Order, a Lois Lane conundrum, rom-com in a demonic, schismatic denomination, tongue depressed by a demotic uvulator. And, as so often the case, I am still here just asking for a friend. As one does. An expression often denoting, embarrassment. Abjection tempered by acceptance. We're here. Ooh, man, we're here. And it's way early for old lang syne. Once more into the breach as bridge and tunnel rats stream by oblivious. We're here, we think. We thank heavens we aren't over there, locked inside each skull cave without a match or spinal tap on the foramen magnum. A few minutes, a few dollars, a fistful of fitful action, blessed with bubbles and bobbing for apples. Now as then, it's just the ticket to let it all ride into this time we might call, as one does, the apocalypsine era. Here and now, your fate and mine, how each of us deals, decides everything. Right, I'm going to cheer up, don't worry. Yeah, many of these poems are from a collection, unpublished collection, Red Shift Blues. I'm struck by the fact that 2 Toronto writers of a science fictional persuasion, Rob Sawyer, he had a book called Red Planet Blues, I learned. And Cory Doctorow, formerly of Toronto, but now Los Angeles, hero of the Electronic Frontier Foundation and great writer. His forthcoming book is Red Team Blues, which I think refers to the fate of red shirts in Star Trek. Anyway, the next two poems are on a broadside that is over there if you wish to have copies. And this one is titled, Wide as That Frayed Map. On a page wide as these Americas, north-south, deep as Pangaea, east to west, follow the sun, west to east, leading wind trails inward. One world we know fit for humankind and unkind, a fragmented landmass variously known as Terra Mitiera, or Turtle Island, Gaia, Mother, this land of too many me's, my's, and I's. Not enough we's, ways, affirming a foreseeable future. Damn all eyes, this fate of fire, earth aside, and woe betide blind appetites, our planet stigmatted, injuries asunder. Why the gulfs ablaze again? Soul gaps selling out, petroleum dreams seem alive. Blacken the sky, rust out lungs, line cilia corridors, breath on an installment plan. What would it take to obscure, erase absurd borders, scales, occlude vision, another rush for resources, lethal worm, Ouroborosing, venomous tail down, spiral gullet, infinite regress. A frontier Sunday at the dairy, queen vaporized on a Death Valley expressway, lanes split, hog-tired or tied to be Fitbit. So many raised brows, red brick, jar shards litter the ramp off Pottery Road. Feeder traffic snarls as life on a late Great Lake fractalizes algal bloom. Takes the shine off a rose. Every pink state devours the warbling woof that hope defines our days as destiny, reaching for so close to seizing far beyond this teaching moment. Blessed lives spurned and sorted into nihil realist, epic if not epical series. Now, one to foresee, for one, take one. All right. Yeah. There might have been a Toronto reference or two in that poem.
Todd Gordon Mills, baby.
There we go. And the next one, War Rant, this is probably the most directly autobiographical piece, describing how I got from here to somewhere, and then beyond. War Rant. Oh, say you can't see. Take my hand. Walk us through the free fire zone, tapping fingers on Morse wrists. Shall I sing ye of wars? To cover the incoming, I wasn't AWOL, wasn't mustered. I was part of the late to the party contingent. War fears running higher in Molly must resist the drip drip plum, the drumbeat call to carnage. Luck of the draw, I came into this madness the year Yuri Gagarin circle jerked Earth. A wall rose in Berlin, Kennedy doubled down. Vietnam, I missed. Harassment, interdiction, firing tracer rounds in random acts of surreal annihilism. Agent Orange, a poison defoliant now epithet for the shittiest ever president. We left the bald prairies of Manitoba for Toronto, the good, a supernally peaceful city caught in a lake grade of Canada, while coruscating from Ohio, Kent State, deepened unease. Was the invasion of Cambodia prelude to total war? An ensign nigh, possibly World War III, according to Papa Simpson, our American neighbor in Bayview Mills, a Willowdale townhouse development with trappings of faux Tolkienshire in North York. Our Simpsons came from Arizona. Their good neighbor policy introduced me to tacos and extortion. When Danny Boy the youngest sent me a threatening letter typed on the red half of the ribbon, demanding $5 protection from what? Him? Or the unknown? A coercive but brief correspondence. Other injustices coalesced through adolescence. blackened consciousness lit by Praetorian's murder of Steve Biko to shore up apartheid, questions to which no answers in our new split-level house by a ravine in the Humber end of Toronto. Did I mention my dad's first language was Afrikaans? And someday, much later, I'd go searching for his traces in, where else? Pretoria, South Africa. Seizing the day, a phrased withdrawal, ever-rending caesura, wheels up, wings down, words cocked, one half-assed clown in flight to exile. Or dashing obscurity, a torn photograph, a life love's runaway on the road to a new home. A life sheared of context, my first not-so-sweet 16 years. A grand passion beckoned, leave everything behind for the land of the free, free, free. Chicago cost me dear, but saved my soul and, yes, sanity. Chanced upon a glass key to an archival underworld, more or less where Fermi's first chain reaction launched an atomic age. All roads funnel west through the wormhole. Quagmire missions remain in remission. Inaction, DOA, thanks to DOD, better than OD. Wouldn't you say okay? No spittle turning blue, detached from the moment. A plea were it me in war's crosshairs, whatever comes with abjection to be a conscientious objector at Camp Angel. A little history lesson here. Waldport, Oregon's internment camp, riddled with poets, printers, refusing the official state of belligerence after Pearl Harbor's wake-up call. Unshell-shocked conchies with issues, a mimeozine of unconcealed pacifism. What isn't tied is untied, riffed the colophon. Well before my time, later, when you think, but through fandom's years of slannish apprenticeship, I learned to love, not fight, the smell and slither of ink on paper, zines gestetnered, a printer's devil, alpha mailing to Amiga graphics in the whimsy city. But after seeing Nazis march south of the Loop and McNamara, a war criminal, then president of the World Bank, wined and dined on campus, I took stock of wars recent and in prospect. From epic literature to ball-scratching jungle rot, it became morbidly obvious someday I might need to choose, knock on wood knees, whether not to go or stand and fight. What is clear, though? War is not my bag. You got problems with countries A, B, or C? Use your own kids as fodder, dad. Hell no, who goes there? To wit, ergo, no iota, not even scintilla of doubt. Fear, yes, tremulous. No question where I stand when it comes to killing or comfort and aid to monsters of the id or an evidence calling the shots may speak to the limits of my worldview. But it's really dead simple to swipe a 90s Gulf War protest sign updating make love, not war, to a pithy and lusting imperative. Fuck, don't fight. And if you're with me, how about a fuck yeah?
Fuck yeah!
Cool. Fuck yeah. All right, so I don't have much left. You could be anything you want to be. You could be anyone. You are only limited by the illimitable, ineluctable, to the naked eye, inevitable as the rose-clothed entropic heat death of the universe. Strikes me out on a limb. That's me, out of my gourd, my tree, my epic funny papers. Ha ha, he he. What say you now? You've seen something of my first face, cracks through the ice, skates streams, the door into El Dorado. And speaking of El Dorado, so Adam and I know each other from the Bay Area, and it's wonderful to see him years later here in Toronto.
Back at you.
And something in the water, I think, where we both have lived, makes a manifesto almost an everyday occurrence. And I lived in San Francisco, now I'm in Berkeley, where there's any number of elements in the table of elements that were invented or discovered by our scientists. There's seaborgium, Carl Seaborg, there's berkelium, there's californium. And I guess in that spirit, I decided I would take a little jingle from childhood and turn it into a little manifesto for the kind of faux literary style that I posit to you today, which is califractalism. You could have canafractalism if you like. I'd love to see this licensed. Anyway, it goes like this. And if you want, we can do it twice and we can do a sing-along. Supercalifractilistic expialidocious. When you have first heard it, might seem ridiculistic, if not lubricious. Supercalifractilistic expialidocious. Thank you.